Welcome to We Fucking Love TV. Thank you for listening, our favorite fuckers.
Hey, but first, before you say what we're going to talk about this week, I do want to talk about how little of an impact we're making because we've been doing this show. We're like on episode, what is it, 20?
No, I think it's
20.
around 15.
Anyway, we're on episode 15, so we've been doing this for like 15 weeks. Last week, the number 7 most watched show was NCIS. It was like number 7, and it was a rerun. Of everything we're telling people to watch, they would still rather watch a rerun of some crap on CBS. Oh, so yeah. Right now, that's where we're at with trying to tell people to watch better shows. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
At least NCIS is the least crappy of the crap that's on CBS.
It's still CBS.
It's still crap.
We trashed CBS at some point.
It's polished crap, though.
I've tried to watch it.
Hey, by the way, we have a guest star.
We have a guest star. His name's Josh.
Ginger Josh.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our special guest, true talent, Trent, a.k.a. Ginger Josh.
You all must be really hard-pressed for guest stars since this is my 4th appearance on the program.
We love you, bro.
We love you too, bro.
We're actually auditioning for the third wheel.
For a long time, I was pretty much a professional third wheel. I'll just throw that out there.
I've been there, dude.
I'm really good at being the guy sitting in the back seat of the car, driving down the road while the boyfriend and girlfriend hold hands in the front seat.
Aww, true love.
So what do you do when she starts giving him a hand job?
I usually ask if he needs someone to catch.
You want me to spit on that?
Well, dudes, let's talk about TV.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna talk about this week, Josh.
Which Josh?
Brunette Josh.
Let's start off talking about The Big Bang Theory. You wanna?
Well, we can talk about it. It's gonna be some trash talk.
My favorite thing about The Big Bang Theory is the fact that now that it's on TBS, you keep getting Conan O'Brien in the commercials for Big Bang Theory, and I love Conan.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
at least
I love him too.
And Big Bang Theory always beats out Community in ratings and shit.
Okay,
that night.
Here's the thing: and they're obviously trying to get the geek demographic to watch the show, but in my opinion,
another show made by Chuck Lorre.
They wound up making a show where people are like, "Oh, these geeks are so funny," and it's awful TV.
When you're making a show like that caters to a group, aren't you alienating everybody else?
I mean, like that Sheldon. Is his name Sheldon? Who's like, well, as we all know, magnets were invented by the science of 3 6.
Yeah, nobody ever talks like that in real life.
Fucking magnets, how do they work?
Yeah.
Yes. But really, like, I mean, he may have never talked about magnets. I don't know, but he's
the tall, lanky one that is like the poor man's Joe McHale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got
tall, lanky, but just
always has something to say.
Yeah, always.
And, well, I've never known anybody in real life with 2 PhDs, but I can assume that they're not going to talk like that all the time. What do you think?
A roommate.
Huh?
And needs a roommate.
And
you
even
got 2 PhDs.
And even Johnny Galecki's character, who plays Leonard in the show, he's got a PhD in some bullshit.
Well, the only redeeming thing about the show, in my opinion, is highlighting characters who are socially awkward, because usually they're not a big part of any show, but everybody in this one's that way. So to me, like, okay, that's cool. You've got some people that would not make it outside of what they're doing right now. You know what I mean? So there's that, but
I just
not
really
humor
don't think I understand what the general public thinks is funny anymore. I really think I'm at that point. Okay, for example, and I know The Office has kind of ran its course. Like, say if I'm on the Ain't It Cool News, not the forum, but reading the talkback on Ain't It Cool, and they're talking about something, and in the same sentence, someone will put down The Office and talk about how great Big Bang Theory is. And I'm like, for one, it's not even the same style of comedy, and number 2, I've never even laughed at that show.
Exactly.
I feel like I'm really out of touch with what, because it's always a top 20 show.
Is it a laugh track show or a studio audience show? Anybody know?
Who knows? It may be a studio audience, but like the audio of the live audience is shifted in post-production because like they don't get the jokes, and then like there's a guy out there with the clipboard going, well, what they meant was this, and they do it in like layman's terms, and then the audience laughs, so they shift the audio back to the joke.
Or you think they have a sign up there that says laugh?
Oh, it could be.
That's what I always think. Oh, shit like that. Laugh.
I really want to go to, like, seriously, if I'm ever in LA again, the next thing I would do is try to go to a taping of something. Even if it was something that I couldn't stand, like Whitney or whatever, I would want to sit in there and see how it's done, see how long it takes, because I know sometimes it takes them 5 hours.
Yeah.
And, obviously, if something was funny the first time, but they messed something up, then they're using that laugh from the first time, the 12th time they do the take. I mean...
Yeah, so if you've got a pile of money sitting around that you just want to throw away, we got a donate button on our website. Fucking send us to a show, and then...
Oh, that would be a great reason to donate to us.
Yeah.
Send us to LA to...
And then we can come talk about, first of all, our donator, and then our experience sitting in the damn audience.
That'd be awesome.
Well, you were talking about how Big Bang Theory is always a top 20 show, and you don't really understand why, because you don't find it all that funny, but you all have hit on in past episodes, part of the reason why it's a success is it caters to the people that don't have time to sit around and watch an hour program or don't have the attention span for it. You got, a 30-minute show, you got 22 minutes of airtime every week for the episode. People can sit there and waste 22 minutes on a crappy show.
I watch a lot of 20-minute shows that are really good and really funny to me.
Like according to Jim?
Whoa!
Oh.
Whoa!
Oh.
Them's fighting whites.
But that are really funny. But, I like a joke I have to think about. I like a joke that's, that's funny. I would never have thought of that. Whereas to some shows seem like we're just going to throw the easy joke because it's the first thing we came up with in the writer's room and we got to turn this product out.
What's happened to sitcoms, though? I remember throughout the 80s and 90s, you've got just amazing sitcoms. In the 80s and 90s, you had, the 80s, Cheers, you had The Cosby Show.
Roseanne was awesome. It really was.
John Goodman was
funny
amazing.
Today. Roseanne is still funny today.
The 90s, even though I wasn't a fan of these
Yeah, because that's your blue-collar family right there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like King of Queens was.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, in the 90s, there was two huge sitcoms in the 90s that I was never a fan of, but Friends and Seinfeld. Never liked them, but there's, if they were that successful, there's no debate that they were really well done sitcoms. You also had Home Improvement that was a huge success in the 90s. King of Queens, a huge success in the 90s.
Late 90s.
But Home Improvement was like a formula. It really was. You don't realize it when you're young, because we were all young when that show was
Oh, I
on.
noticed the formula.
But if you see it again like Nick at Night, you're like, this is so formula. This is like... Go through it if you're going to.
Okay, it's Tim screws up on tool time, then Tim makes a mistake that makes Jill mad.
Somebody says they like Al better than Tim on the show.
Yes, and then Tim goes and has a talk with
Wilson.
Rest in peace.
And then he tries to say it back and
messes it up. And she gives him a funny look.
And then he explains himself in his words, and she forgives him.
And don't forget, he most likely remodels a bathroom or a closet for him.
And then somewhere in the show, Al hugged him
and
at one point.
And then what always upset me about the show is for years, Jill was my least favorite character on any show, probably still to this day my least favorite character ever, because it didn't matter. She fantasized in an episode about sleeping with Tom Wolpat's character, Dukes of Hazzard, and she ends up mad at Tim. And Tim's still the one that apologizes. Like, it didn't matter who screwed up. There was maybe, I don't know, how long was it around? 10, 11 seasons probably?
Yeah, it was on a long...
There was maybe 4 or 5 episodes where she apologized to him, even though she wasn't wrong.
What's surprising is that we know of, and I've not done a whole lot of research on the show or anything, but that we know of behind the scenes, she never said, hey, you're really making me an unlikable character who always looks like a bitch.
Yeah. Well,
you would think if you were... I know she was probably making a lot of money and just, decided to shut up about it. But, about the 5th or 6th season, she had to be going, why are they always making me this...
Yeah,
well,
you can't say the same for King of Queens, because Carrie was fucking bitch right from day one. You knew she was supposed to be a bitch, and she was funny, too.
Exactly. She could be funny with it. I never found Jill funny.
Right.
What's funny, we're talking about, no matter who screwed up, Tim apologized. It's funny, where I work, the TV's on all night where I work. And the other day I had it on TBS, and early in the morning an episode of Home Improvement came on. And just showing how stupid a really successful show was written. It's the episode where Tim's working in the garage.
Oh, no. He's not working on his car.
No.
He worked on the car for 8 seasons.
But she decides...
The same one.
Yes. We're going to get that hot rod. Dad, I'm 18 now. Screw this hot rod.
But she decides she wants to take up...
it's like Walt Jr. eating breakfast.
She decides she wants to take up...
Nice, dude.
Clay modeling or whatever, like from the movie Ghost. And she puts one of the wheels in the garage and she's doing her stuff. And Tim comes in. He's like, hey, come on, this is my garage. This is for man stuff. I'm working on a car in here. And then she's like, I think we can share the garage. She's like, fine, we can share the garage. And then the next time they're sharing the garage, and Tim's, doing welding or cutting something with a torch, and she turns on classical music, and it's like, this has been his garage for him to work on his dream car for 7-8 episodes now, and then she gets mad that he's not willing to give up the garage for her to do ceramics. She's like, oh, are you saying what you're doing is more important than what I'm doing? Yeah, you're trying to build a new hobby. I'm trying to build my dream car. Of course that's more important. That'd be like, okay, I'm trying to raise money so I can cure this horrible cancer I've got, and you're trying to raise money so you can go buy you a new flat screen. People should donate to me ahead of him, but it'd be like him getting mad at me that I'm getting more money than him in donations.
Right.
That's a weird ass analogy.
Yeah. But it makes sense, though.
I found the way with it. I followed the yellow brick road.
I mean, it's a weird analogy, but it makes sense. But I had to keep telling myself, watching that show, it's like, it's not Patricia Richardson's fault that her character was written this way. And
she could have been funny if she wanted to be.
I thought she had a lot of funny moments, but the majority of them were in the episodes that made me hate her the most. Like, ones where she was being the biggest bitch she could possibly be. She also had her funny moments, but like, I'm not going to give her the joy of me laughing at her.
But in all fairness, the show is based on Tim Allen's comedy. In his original comedy, his stand-up that he used to do, he would talk about, my wife or my girlfriend hates when I do this and hates when I do that, and we're so different. I don't understand her, and she doesn't understand me, blah, blah, blah. So I can see that in a way, but, I mean, to go 10 seasons, and that's all it is. And all they ever had for her character to do was when she decided to go back to school, and then that was the whole thing.
And then she was an expert psychiatrist after, like, one semester.
Well, so was Wilson.
Oh, well, I loved Wilson, though.
Wilson was an expert in everything.
Wilson was great. I loved the character. We touched on recent sitcoms and older sitcoms. What was your favorite sitcom of all time? King of Queens for you, probably?
Probably, yes.
Nick?
Oh, mine's always The Office.
Oh, yeah, mine's still developing.
Yeah. But does The Office count in that discussion?
Is that a
sitcom?
It's also a documentary or a mockumentary.
Isn't it part of a new breed of shows like Parks and Rec and Modern Family is?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that...
Comms?
Yeah.
Docu-com!
So, for me...
They throw barrels.
For me, it's really a tie. One of them is Married with Children. I absolutely love it, and it's one that I've recently went back to and started watching all the episodes, and it's not as funny as it was, but it's definitely funny enough still. And then the other one is, because of when it came out, get ready to make fun of me, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I like that show.
Absolutely loved that show. I thought
it sounds like we should talk about late 80s, early 90s shows to me.
Alfonso Ribeiro is one of the greatest casted characters as Carlton in sitcom history, in my opinion anyway. But those were my two favorites.
But it is funny is what you'll watch at certain ages and then what you can look back on and say.
The dad scene in Fresh Prince, that's one of the best scenes on TV ever.
And I hate to say it because it sounds like I'm being mean to Will Smith. Several seasons of Fresh Prince, all these huge blockbuster movies. Honest to God, my opinion, the best acting he's ever done is the final scene in the dad episode, where his dad comes back, he's being a part of his life, he gets close to him, he's going to take him out on the road.
And he had an ulterior motive the whole time.
Yeah, and he's going to take him out on the road with him. He's like, I got this really big trip, I can't really take Will. And he's like, Uncle Phil tells him, you're going to be the one to tell him. Then Will shows up, and his dad's leaving town. He's like, no, go ahead, go. We can catch up sometime. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then he leaves, and Will Smith just has a brilliantly acted scene where he's trying to come across as tough as, I learned to ride a bike without him. I learned to play basketball without him. I think he even says, to hell with him at the end of it.
Hey, why should I be mad? I'm saying, at least he said goodbye this time. I just wish I hadn't wasted my money buying this stupid present.
I'm sorry. If there was something that I
could do. What? You ain't got to do nothing, Uncle Phil. Hey, ain't like I'm still 5 years old, Ain't like I'm going to be sitting up every night asking my mom, when's Daddy coming home, Who needs him? Hey, he wasn't there to teach me how to shoot my first basket, but I learned, didn't I? Hey, I got pretty damn good at it too, didn't I, Uncle Phil? Got through my first day without him, right? I learned how to drive. I learned how to shave. I learned how to fight without him. I had 14 great birthdays without him. He never even sent me a damn card. To hell with him! I ain't need him then, and I don't need him now. Nah, you know what, Uncle Phil? I'm gonna get through college without him. I'm gonna get a great job without him. I'm gonna marry me a beautiful honey, and I'm having me a whole bunch of kids. I'm gonna be a better father than he ever was. And I sure as hell don't need him for that, because ain't a damn thing he could ever teach me about how to love my kids. How come he don't want me, man?
The that like the final episode or
No,
something?
that episode and the episode where
I just never really watched a whole lot of it.
him and Carlton are at the ATM and Will gets shot. And the acting Will does when it's him and Carlton in the room and Carlton's bought the gun,
Yeah.
you know, to defend himself or whatever. He's like, give me the damn gun, Carlton.
That was a
Those
good Carlton scene, too.
Yeah, but those two scenes to me, like, you know, when Will Smith started doing movies, people were like, wow, Will Smith's actually becoming a good actor. Like, go back and
You
watch
should
those
have
two
seen
episodes,
him, yeah.
and you see it coming. But you said that about watching old TV shows that you watched at a certain age, and, you know, you loved it, you liked it, whatever you watch now.
When you're young, like, say, 10 to 15, you're watching whatever's on.
Saved by the
You
Bell.
don't care.
There
Whatever
we
your
go.
friends are watching or whatever mom and dad are watching, that's what you're watching.
Yeah.
If Cheers is on, you're watching that. And some of it winds up being good, and some of it is just
In this
the
generation,
trash
it was
TV, which brings us back around.
America's Funniest
Right now,
Home Videos.
people are watching either things with their families, or they're watching things because it's on, or they're young and they don't know any better. And in my opinion, Big Bang Theory goes into that, where it's going to be one of those shows remembered like
Simpsons.
what was on like the same time as Roseanne and Home Improvement.
Grace Under Fire.
Another great example.
Yes.
I actually liked
is the
that show.
but they're really, if
What
you
was
go
her
back
name?
and watch them now, it's just filler TV.
What was her name?
Brett.
Brett Butler.
Brett Butler.
Yes.
And they said, well, oh,
the
you're a
fuck
great
is Brett
comic.
Butler?
We want to put shows around you. And it was just filler TV.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know, it's like if you're really into a band, like just a band of the day, not like a band that's stuck around all these years, like a band that was big for like 4 years, and you're like, man, I listened to that Limp Bizkit Significant Other album. Oh man, I wore it out. It was great.
$3
And then
bill,
if you go back to it 10 years later, you're like, dude, this has got like 3 good songs on
Well,
it,
yeah,
maybe.
That's what I did with Howard the Duck.
That's like Saved by the Bell for me. You know, like,
It sucks now.
Yeah, but you thought it was golden
Oh,
as a
yeah.
child. You didn't know better. But it's filler film, it's filler TV, it's filler music. Later on, you see where the appreciation value lies. And like, we still talk fondly of Roseanne, and right now we can turn Roseanne on and watch it and go, this is good.
for me,
You
solely
know.
because of John Goodman. For me, is the main reason I could watch Roseanne every day of the week just because I get to see John Goodman on screen, who I think is really underappreciated.
But you know, that was not a formula show. Now, there was bickering in that show.
Yeah.
That was a guarantee. Somebody was going to be arguing with somebody.
Yeah.
But I mean, that show was always moving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody was changing jobs, or somebody
Winning the
was
lottery.
And it
leaving
was-
out of the house. Or, yeah.
It was one of the rare sitcoms too that not every episode led to the next episode, but more often than you see
Some
in
of
most
them just
sitcoms.
left you with,
Yeah.
like, what the hell? I mean, there were a few where John Goodman walked out the door and you were like, okay, what
Did it
happens
not
next?
make you feel fucking awkward whenever Roseanne just just had a breakdown or whatever? And
Like say when they went to Vegas and like it was a 2-parter and the first part of it ended and she was like, Dan, we should have taken 2 trips.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I go to Vegas and you go to hell. And then that's how it ended. And you were like, I mean, it was awkward because you kind of felt like you were in that family a little bit, but just because you were with them so much.
Well,
you know?
one of my least favorite.
What episode was that where Roseanne spanked a little kid DJ and she broke down and cried? And
Oh,
shit?
yeah.
That unsettled me pretty much.
One of my most unsettling TV moments comes from Roseanne, though, and it's they might have already hit the lottery because they hit the lottery on the show.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of the season premieres where she comes out with like this red dress on. She had lost some weight, but she comes out with this red dress on and it's completely open in the back. I'm like, I did not need to see. I did not need to see 48 inches of Roseanne's
Which
back.
is worse, that scene or her singing the national anthem?
I'm gonna go with that scene simply because if you
Someone should
put
splice the national anthem audio over the top of that.
if you put Roseanne
Do it,
on a
internet,
baseball
do
field
it.
to sing the national anthem, you know it's not going to be good. So you saw that coming.
Yeah.
In the dress.
Well,
no.
you
The
know,
shit that I fapped to.
this started to be one kind of episode, and it actually turned into a Roseanne episode. But really, Roseanne did one unforgivable thing, and that was in the final episode. It decided that everything that happened in the last year didn't
Was a
matter.
dream, wasn't
it
it?
was a dream.
Yeah.
They did that?
When Dan had the heart attack at the wedding, he had actually died back in the end of the last season.
They did that?
Yeah.
I don't think I
and
watched
she
the
was
end of
sitting at her
Roseanne.
writing desk and, saying it was all a dream and this actually happened, that actually happened. And I was like, what a cop-out.
Well,
But I know that they did that in order because a lot of the last season was them just paying tributes to shows she liked when she was young. I Love Lucy and Gilligan's Island and things like that.
Well,
her just having fun on TV.
they did the exact same thing with Married with Children, though. There was an entire season of Married with Children where Peggy and Marcy were both pregnant, and they ended up having it being that either Al was having a dream, nightmare, whatever, or that he was in a coma or something and came out of it, whatever. But for an entire season, they were both pregnant. They were planning on casting, 2 kids to play their children. Mm-hmm. And then they decided to go against it. They're like, well, how do we go against it? She's been pregnant for an entire season. And it's like, oh, well, Al was having a dream.
Yeah, that should just be outlawed. That should not be allowed on TV.
Hell, lost it in 8 years.
That's also one of the most unpopular Family Guy episodes. The 2-parter where Stewie kills Lois and Lois comes back and kills Stewie, and then you find out that Stewie was like, oh, so that's what would happen if I blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Where he's sitting in that machine, and then Brian's like, don't you realize that if people had been watching that and they realized the whole thing was just a simulation, that they'd probably be really pissed off, and people actually really got pissed off.
Well, it's the tug and pull of the writer's room. I'm sure that the writer's room on sitcoms is full of people who want to do something different, who want to steer it in different directions. On the other side, you have the business end of it, where we've made these iconic characters, made Roseanne and Dan Connor into iconic characters. We've made Peter Griffin and Stewie and Lois. They're on game boards and T-shirts and all these things, and you can't kill an icon.
Well,
same reason Han Solo doesn't die in Return of the Jedi, or several reasons why a lot of these things happen.
I think part of that is, for example, you have the episode where Lois dies, but then she doesn't, and then Stewie dies, and then he doesn't, because, it gives the writers that want to do something big, like, let's just fucking kill Stewie off. Mm-hmm. They get to write the episode where he dies, the way they wanted him to die, but then it didn't really happen. So they get that out of their system, like, I want to kill Stewie. Okay, you got to kill Stewie, but it didn't really happen. You know what I mean?
So anyway, to sum it up, Roseanne's awesome, Home Improvement's mediocre, and The Big Bang Theory is crap, in my opinion.
And to me,
pretty much anything made by Chuck Lorre, right? Does anybody here like a Chuck Lorre show?
I don't know what Chuck Lorre's done.
Dharma and Greg.
I thought I was actually going to have to defend
Two and a
Friends and
Half Men.
Seinfeld, but you said that they were probably good. You didn't dog them, so.
No, I didn't enjoy them at all. But so many people did that I'm not going to sit there and go, well, I didn't like it, so it was a shit show.
Like,
I'm not going to, I thought it was, but I'm not.
Dude.
Yeah, you're level-headed about your opinion there.
Yeah. And the reason I didn't like Seinfeld is because I thought Jerry Seinfeld was the worst actor I've ever seen in my entire life. They actually gave an award back when Jeff Foxworthy had his show. They're like, worst actor of all time on a TV show? Jeff Foxworthy. Like, he didn't do any worse than Jerry Seinfeld did. Jerry Seinfeld just had a great cast with him. Mm-hmm. You got Michael, the
Jeff
racist
Foxworthy
Richard.
had a show. That was the state of affairs in the 90s. Okay.
What
They're
about
like,
now, Bill
Brett
Nicole?
Butler, you had 200 people come to your club show last night. You get a show. Jeff Foxworthy. You made a catchphrase. You get a show. Sinbad.
Oh, come on.
You know Arnold Schwarzenegger. You in a show.
Come on.
It's just like they just walked around to the improv and they're like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, he just made 3 people laugh. You get a show.
You can't.
It's like the Oprahs of TV executives. You get a show and you get a show.
Check under your seats.
You can't say that about Foxworthy,
Shit's getting canceled left and right.
Foxworthy was a shitty show, but he was at the height of popularity for him. He was,
right.
His albums, records, whatever.
But Bill Engvall, he got a show.
Bill Engvall, fuck. Seriously,
how many comedians that
you're going to give Jeff Foxworthy a show? You're going to give Bill Engvall a show? You're going to give Larry the Cable Guy movies?
Larry the Cable Guy has a show.
The only funny one.
The only funny one.
He does. Do you know?
Yeah. What is it where he talks about American history?
Yeah.
Really, the funniest guy on the Blue Collar Comedy Tour is the only one that doesn't have anything to show for it on TV.
He don't give a fuck though.
No, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he'd give a fuck if he knew how much money fucking Bill Engvall was getting per episode.
Yeah.
Bill Engvall is a worse actor than Jeff Foxworthy on a worse show than the Jeff Foxworthy show. The only funny thing to ever come out of Bill Engvall's mouth was Jeff Foxworthy's dick.
Oh!